Hey everyone, this is Marco, and I just wanted to give you a quick update about what's been going on with me. And I actually just started my last cycle, which is cycle number 6. So I just started that today, and I started off the treatment at the hospital earlier today, but now I'm back home, and it'll take me about, 5 days for the actual treatment, and then a couple of weeks of recovery after that. So before I actually got into the cycle, I just wanted to give you guys just a brief update about what's been happening with me so far, and just some reflections that I wanted to share now that I'm, wrapping up my whole chemotherapy, the whole process, basically thinking about the kind of journey I've had so far. So I just wanted to also give you a little update about that. So I guess first things off, what's been going on with me right now, probably I want to touch on the steroids again, because I think that's really something that I kind of watch out for at the beginning of each cycle, is how I'd react to the steroids, because it does have a bit of a significant effect on me, on my body and on my mind as well. I don't know if it's just me over anticipating, or it's sort of like a placebo effect, but I start up the steroids when the cycle starts. I do feel a bit of that rush again. It's pretty much the same, I think, in the sense that kind of get restless. The upside is I do feel a bit more creative, and thoughts come to me easily. I just feel like there's a lot of gas in the tank, so to speak. So I've learned how to pace myself and kind of keep my foot off the gas, because I feel I already have that boost. It's a bit of an artificial boost, but I sort of go pedal to the metal, if you know what I mean. That's one of the things that I just watch out for. And with every cycle, more of actually in the second half of the whole treatment process, I do watch out for three things that I have to do, which is to keep my feet up when I'm sitting down, when I'm at the computer. I actually have my feet up right now. I have a little stool here under my desk, right, so I can keep my feet elevated, because I'm getting a lot of fluid retention, towards the end of each cycle. I tend to get a lot of fluid retention, so I do keep off of salty foods, I guess. But more importantly, I also do keep my feet up even when I'm in bed. If I'm reading a book or praying or something, I do have to keep my feet elevated. And I also have to hydrate a lot, because it's really super important when you're going through chemo to always keep up your fluid intake, because there's a lot going through me, not just the chemo, but the daily meds that I take to maintain, my condition, to make sure that I don't get sick and all that. And the other big thing is that try to sleep as early as I can. Well, more of a sleep at a reasonable hour. Probably my cutoff is 10:30 to 11 at night. I don't want to, sleep past midnight. The challenge is that I do get a lot of restless nights from time to time when I'm on the steroids. So, but as much as I can, I just want to get to bed early, just to, because the more sleep I have, of course, I think it's easier for me to recover from the cycle. I think with the way things are going right now, because getting at towards the end of my treatment, there is still a mixture for me. There's a mixture of dread and excitement. Dread, of course, I think it's natural for anyone going through this process, where you do feel a sense of dread, because there's still the unknown. When I started this treatment at the beginning, I did have a huge amount of dread, no, naturally, as one does when they go through this sort of thing. But when I started learning about my condition and what kind of treatment I had, that shed more light on sort of the roadmap I had ahead of me. So now I'm sort of going through the same thing again. I did get used to this new normal, this whole routine. But now that I'm reaching the end, there's another, the path before me is still a bit blurry, or needs a little more light. Shedding more light on it, I think, is what I need. So that will come in its own good time, I think. But yeah, I'm getting a bit of dread and excitement, meaning that I'm looking forward to getting back to normal and trying to get into my old schedule, maybe an improved version of my old schedule, before pre-lymphoma, basically, before this whole lymphoma thing happened to me. In spite of everything, I think I'm excited about what's up ahead for me. So I try try to like balance my excitement and dread, and more of excitement than dread, to take off the edge, the fear that I do feel from time to time. But all things considered, I'd say I'm okay as a whole. And I really say that with a deep sense of gratitude because, all things considered, I'm doing fine because even if cancer is never a great thing to have, I do still have a lot to be thankful for. If there's anything I've learned on this journey, it's really to cultivate a greater sense of gratitude, I'd say, because there's really like a lot of good things I still have going for me. And I really think that gratitude is kind of like a buffer that makes the bad days like easier for me to get through, because I have that gratitude to things that I'm grateful for. I think about the things that I'm grateful for, that I fall back on those when I'm feeling kind of raw or running on fumes sometimes, because this whole chemo thing does take a lot out of me. And if any of you have are going through it or have gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. Like, scientifically speaking, there is really a huge benefit in exercising gratitude, because it literally like rewires the brain. If you don't know that, there are like books about that, one of which is The Science of Positivity. It's not like toxic or like blind positivity, but more of like a grounded sense of positivity rooted in gratitude. I've talked about this in one of my earlier videos, and you can find the link in that. I'll put it up in the description below this video. But 5 things that helped me get through my diagnosis. But I'm just gonna touch on that again now really quick. Basically, cultivating gratitude does rewire your brain a lot, and that makes you more resilient actually in the face of like negative or maybe daunting circumstances in your life. I think I'm living proof that does work. It worked for me. It continues to work for me to this day. And I'm not saying, not to say that having negative thoughts is a bad thing in itself, because that's totally normal and it's inevitable. The thing is that if you dwell too much on the negatives or the what ifs, you get consumed by those thoughts. That is something else though. And if you're like so caught up in those thoughts and it's like getting in the way of you functioning or living a normal life, then that is something though that can be a problem. So really, gratitude gives you a lot of leverage mentally and emotionally, I think. So that's something that's helped me. I mean, if I'm gonna talk about the things that I'm personally grateful for, first one would be my wife, because she has been like incredibly supportive of my healing journey, and she's always been there for me since day one. She's really like stepped up and done a lot of the heavy lifting around the house when it comes to the practical everyday things, and also taking care of the kids. And my kids as well is another thing that I'm grateful for, because they've been incredibly supportive of me as well. And they're always checking in with me and asking me how I'm doing. So their concern, really takes the edge off for me as well. And the other thing I'm grateful for is my family back in the Philippines, because I'm always on my phone and I'm talking to them. We have like a family group chat going on as well. They're reaching out to me and making sure I'm okay as well. That also helps me. And the other thing that I'm grateful for is the healthcare that I've been getting, which has been nothing short of amazing. To be honest, I really feel blessed with the kind of medical care that I've been getting here. One thing that I've really noticed about the healthcare here is that there's a lot of humanity and kindness in the care that I've had here. Like the healthcare system, I guess in some other parts of the world maybe might make you feel like you're a faceless number in the system, in the machinery that just needs to be processed, but that's quite the opposite here, I'd say. I have to just share that. I mean, all the nurses and the doctors have made me feel like a person, and not just another patient they have to deal with, but they've dealt with me as a person. They treated me with kindness and all that. On top of that, I do have a couple of people, Matt and Sharon. I check in with both these wonderful people like weekly or fortnightly, to keep my mental health on track. So that again is something that I'm super and eternally grateful for, because it really has made a huge impact on me in a positive way, and they've helped me process my feelings and thoughts that have come up as I've gone through this treatment. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, there are times really that going through cancer treatment means that you are going to think about thoughts about death and dying, and you have to confront your mortality. And I do want to do another video, a separate video about that, about confronting thoughts about mortality. But yeah, I'm just saying now that that's really something that you go through, with someone with cancer. You're inevitably you have to confront your mortality and just try to get your head around that. But it does come to a point where you do accept that life, can be funny sometimes, and that's just how it is. But just go through it every day. Just get through it one day at a time, because there is no other way to do it other than one day at a time. I would love to go through it like a week at a time if I could, but that's just how it is. So yeah, I mean, gratitude, I feel, is like a bridge to acceptance, I think. And especially going through this sort of process can make your optimism levels really fluctuate wildly from time to time. Like one day you're feeling great, other days you feel like, just absolute garbage, to be bluntly honest. That's just part of the process. So it really does make a difference when you have people in your corner that are rooting for you, and people who can give you like a sense of perspective, and they keep you grounded through the whole thing, which is, what's luckily in my case, that's what's happened to me. So to wrap things up, that's the latest with me. And I just want to like finish off by saying that I do have a couple of lumbar punctures coming up after this cycle, and another CT scan, which is also going to happen probably a month after I finish this cycle 6, which I've just started today. And they're just going to see where I'm at with that and how I've responded to the treatment. So, that's just the latest with me. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to good results as always. And as always, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so that you can get more content information about lymphoma. And if you do have any thoughts or comments you'd like to share, please just drop it in the comments below this video, because if you've gone through this sort of thing, or someone that is going through this kind of experience, feel free to share your thoughts about that in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. That's all I have for now, but I'll post another update after cycle 6 and let you know how I'm doing so far. All right, so thanks for your time, guys, for listening and watching, and I'll talk to you soon in the next video. See you then. Bye.